how did you go from being on the show, doing, the kind of community work that you've been doing things through your foundation, Yellow Ribbon, to now being a member of the National Assembly? You are the government now. Like last time you were writing a letter to the president at the time, former President Jacob Zuma, to be like, yay, government, do something about it. Now you are government.
Yeah, my skin is crawling here with cold, like chills. Like just when you say it back to me, like I take a moment to like say, am I really there? I am. And I think it's just also to reflect on the journey. When you say that, it allows me to reflect on the journey, because I didn't expect any of this. But if anything, I just like for my story just to be sort of to inspire others. Because there I was, a hopeless mother, writing, saying, do this, do that. And today I'm in a position to affect change in my community and many other communities. I've gone, visiting various prisons in communities and police stations that's hard hit by substance. I'm able to give recommendations. I'm able to tell it like it is, because I find that many politicians have been sitting in those soft seats for so long that they've lost they've lost touch with the real stuff happening on the ground, on community level. And I think the sort of the privilege that I have, or the honor that I have, was having years of experience where I've been on the ground. I've seen it all. I've lived it. I have a lived experience, and I'm able to take that lived experience alongside many others to Parliament now. And I'm able to recommend and put in place solutions. It's frustrating, because I see there's red tape. So I wanted to get to Parliament and say, I need to get to Parliament. So, but now I'm in Parliament. Now I'm saying, okay, what next? I need to do something else. I'm there.
Because it is a process. It is a process. It's not like you just say, guys, I've been here. This is what the solution is. And then they just say yes and sign. It's a process of multiple departments, multiple stakeholders. Then there's the financial aspect. There are so many things that are a part of that process.
Yeah, definitely. I've realized that. I was all excited and whatever. But I think what's nice for me is the fact that every time I give remarks, or every time I have an opportunity to speak in Parliament, I can see people actually listening. I can see people listening, and I see people, they resonate. So even though we hail and we stem from different backgrounds and different parties, there's a connection, because I think what I speak and what I share, all South Africans are going through that. It's the bread and butter issues. It's the simple stuff that we're battling with on the ground. It speaks to family reunification. And I feel that we'll never be able to change this country, impact communities, if we don't start with the family.
So, Dereleen, then talk us through how you did work your way into that position, because I love a story which shows, because people have the perception of like, oh, you need to know somebody, you need to know people, but that era is slowly moving out. How did a woman who's been fighting for her community because of what was happening with her son, fighting for her son's life, find herself able to get into that space that you're in now?
I don't know. That you're gonna have to ask God. I think, but one thing that when I reflect, I think consistency. I was consistent in this fight. I never gave up. It's been more than 10 years. I was out there. I think my activism just went from one level to the next level. I think, South Africans and people, the name Dereleen James, everyone knows me as the drug auntie van Eldorado Park. So everyone knew.
Is they the drug auntie? Is that how they know you?
The drug auntie van Eldorado Park. Yeah, so I'm known by that name. And I think this was part of my journey. I then joined a political party, Action SA. I got into contact with Mr. Herman Mashaba, and he obviously had recognized the work that I'm doing. And he said, you know what, Action SA, he's very passionate as well, because he has affected family members as well. And he said, you know what, should Action SA be the governing party, there's one department that he would like to dedicate and open up space for, and that is for substance, because he feels that it needs a focused approach. It impacts on so many other departments. To address it, you need to address sort of social development in terms of family reunification. You need to address and have a partnership with SAPS in terms of ensuring, drugs are off our streets. You need to have SARS so that we can have those sort of asset and forfeit units, and we can do lifestyle audits on people. We need education so that we can start educating our youth at an early age. And when should they fall prey to substance, we can connect them to programs in schools that addresses that, instead of disconnecting them from schools and taking them into a rehab and expecting them to come back after 2-3 years when they no longer fit in school, the classroom environment. So it's education, it is community development, it is local government. There needs to be intergovernmental relations between local, provincial, and national government. It is not just the responsibility of SAPS. And then also we are saying that drug addiction is a disease. And when we're saying it's a disease, how ready is the Department of Health for this disease? And I always say this in all my interviews. We see the pink ribbon for cancer. We see the red for HIV. What about a ribbon for substance? How do we empower families? Is there support for families? You just heard me saying sometimes I still slip back. Ongoing support. Do we have mandatory drug testing? We test mandatory for HIV/AIDS. That's the first thing. Do we misdiagnose people that show behavioral challenges and conduct where we say they're schizophrenic? We put them on other meds without realizing that they are substance users, and they go into permanent psychosis. They go into permanent psychosis because even our medical doctors aren't testing for substance abuse. So we're giving them those meds that are muscle relaxants, and they love those meds because it's almost part of the drug that they're taking. And we just further mess up their brains. So do we have enough scientific studies going into, the disease of addiction? Do we have programs in our communities? There's just so much that needs to be done to address this holistically and not have the silo approach. And I think that is the reason I now proudly serve in government, to ensure that there's synergy, to ensure that we address gangsterism, drugs on the Cape Flats. We come up with solutions. I know the solutions, but it's getting all these other departments to sort of do something and act. And some of them, there's so much low-hanging fruit, things that we can do straight away. But it's going to take still years of advocacy, and it is opportunities, and it's people like yourself, Lebo, and this program that brings about, that fosters change. So well done to you too for playing your part.
Thank you. Is there anybody that you would love to see on the second chapter? Maybe there's a question that you think I should have asked, or something that was burning after you watched and you wished you could have the guest back. Maybe you were confused, or maybe you felt like, there's definitely more to the story. Comment down below and let us know who you'd like to see, which story you'd like to revisit, which guest you'd like us to invite back for Unpacked, the second chapter.